Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening and a warm welcome to another edition of the Red and Blue Review. Hello, everyone, wherever you are in the world. I'm your host. My name is Nick Philpott, and I'm going to be joined by the usual reprobates in a minute. But before they come and join us, don't forget to ask your smart speaker to play the latest Red and Blue Review podcast. The pod from tonight's show will be up as soon as we go off air. You'll always have to find us on Facebook again in the morning. It's also broadcasting live streaming as we speak now on Twitter. So make sure you hit that bell and subscribe so you don't miss anything that's coming up in the future. First of all, welcome, Mr. Noble. Ian, hello, mate. How are you?
Good evening, Nick. Good evening, everybody. I'm really good after yesterday, of course, you know. Evening.
Superb. And Aaron, welcome back to your second appearance from the land down under. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good morning, mate. And good evening, everyone in England as well. And yeah, I'm well, mate. Hope you're well as well. And what a great win. So yeah, pretty happy.
Good stuff. We're not even going to speak about the Ashes. Do you understand? Okay, not until we start winning something. Okay, it is my favourite subject, but we ain't going to do it this evening. We have also got coming on Joe Holyoke and Harvey Jennings, but neither of them are with me at the moment. I don't know where they are. I'm sure Nigel will let me know in a second. But coming up on tonight's show, we're going to be. You've got some. Oh, hello, Joe. You are there. Have you sat down now?
Yeah, just literally 1 minute ago, I don't know, one of my leads has just failed. So I've just literally renewed it, but hopefully it should be better.
Are you well?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yourself?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. I'm feeling better, thank you. Right, so coming up tonight's show, we have the news you're all waiting for on the Coppell interview. Mr. Stephen Coppell, who is, I'm proud to say, he was in my home not so long ago. The editing is more or less finished and it's ready for launch, as you can see on screen. There is the great man himself. Now, I'm not talking about Holyoke, and I'm certainly not talking about the idiot on the right. I'm talking about the one in the middle, okay? There is the superstar himself. More on that in a minute. We're going to be touching on cryptocurrency and its connection with the club. But before we kick off with all of that, Ian, bring everybody, please, up to speed, if you'd be so kind, so I can tie the two subjects with the Coppell interview. On your Twitter, Ian Noble, ladies and gentlemen, is working so hard for us on our Twitter account. Bring us up to speed, everybody up to speed, so they can make sure they don't miss the exciting prize.
Well, don't big me up too much, mate. But yeah, we launched a few weeks ago just a simple competition on Twitter. Guess how many points we're going to get during the month of December. Of course, two of those games are gone, away at Manchester United and at home to Everton. 3 points in the bag so far with 4 games to go. So if you predicted anything between 3 and 15 points, you're still in with a chance of winning. Too late to enter now, of course. Had to enter before the start of the month. But we will decide which one of these wonderful Palace programmes from days gone by, duly signed by Steve Coppell himself, will be our prize. And if we get 2 or more tied for the same number of points, then we will pick a winner at random. Okay, so it's on Twitter, and it's simply guess how many points we're going to get in December. Simple as that, mate.
Thank you very much. And the answer to your question, Jill, was yes, please. Okay, just to let you know what they are, folks. This is the FA Cup semi-final, hand signed by Mr. Coppell himself. This is the Palace Blackburn Rovers, also signed by the great man. A copy of the original Cup final brochure, magazine brochure, whatever you want to call it. As you can see, no, well it is, but it's more like a brochure, isn't it? Because of the size of it.
Was the list price on that £1? Was it £1?
The price on that, that's good, £3 actually.
£3, okay.
Yeah, and the Everton Zenith, obviously topical Everton Zenith Data System final, where we're going a good bashing. And as you can see, the great man signed that for you as well. Which one do you want? You got to be in the competition to win it. And if you don't win it this month, you'll certainly have an opportunity to win it next month. Good evening and welcome back, Harvey Jennings. How are you, mate?
Good evening. How are you?
All got your bloody laptop sorted out last. You've only had 3 weeks notice.
I know, it's a nightmare. But
how was your day? How was your day at Selhurst yesterday?
It was very good, thank you. Very good. Nice to get back to winning ways, wasn't it?
Which I'm sure we're going to come on to very, very soon. It absolutely was. So I've gone through the introductions. I know some of you don't know. Joel, say some hellos, please, while I get my next bit ready.
Okay, well, the first person in there was Mark Corbett, Claire Davis, John Knox, Chloe Francesca Johnson, Jason Green, Graham Kitcher, Colin Waterman, Stephen Isles, Hawken, Nick Chatterjee, Steve Chandler, Real Panny, Paul English, Andy Best, Ian Appley, Colin Squires, Ryan Hinton. Ryan Hinton has had a little bit of a dig already, can't help himself. Facebook user, don't know who that is. Phil Usher, evening Phil. So yeah, the usual suspects: Gareth Thorndale, Chambers. But yeah, there's a few people in there. Ryan Hinton turned around and just said very, very quickly, are the IU bench boys in the house tonight? Ryan, he's got to have one decent game every season. Looks like he's had it. So I'll be screaming next week for him. Out ski.
Here we go. Right, we'll come on to that later on. And I think, Nigel, you got those details about COVID there. Folks, just to keep you up to date, there is some distressing news coming out of the FA in the last couple of hours that the COVID figures around the Premier League is growing massively since the weekend. Nigel, I don't know if you got those figures to hand, but it's nothing to do with Palace at this time. But you can bet your life it's going to happen with this new variant and everything else. So there are a lot. I think there were 60 new cases today alone from staff and clubs within the Premier League. So it's
the two clubs that have been affected the most, I believe, are Man United and Villa. All right. So at the moment, though, I think both Man United away at Brentford and Villa at Norwich are still going ahead this week. But those are the two clubs that are affected most, behind Tottenham, of course, who had their game against Brighton called off at the weekend.
Sure.
What I'm hoping is that the Premier League grow up a pair of balls and this won't end up going into next December where the games keep getting called off. And do what UEFA did and just if you can't field a team, you have to forfeit the game, which would be amazing. So whoever forfeits, loses. I'm all up for that. But what we need is a goal score. Now, what do? We have a little competition that we have every week that we have to send our predictions in. If you don't send them in, if you forget to send them in, what is it? Is it 5-5?
Yep.
Yeah. If there's Ian automatically, it makes them 5-5.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's what I'm hoping for anyway. If they can't field, there was Oldham versus Forest Green Rovers, 5-5.
Yeah,
watched it
5-5 at the weekend.
Yeah, brilliant. amazing. But that's what I'm hoping for. That the Premier League. Yeah,
boys, you're talking over each other, lads. You're talking over each other. So
I'm hoping, Nick, sorry, is that they do that. If it's here to stay, if COVID is here to stay, then that's what we're going to have to do. I'm all up for that, as long as we don't get forfeit against Brighton. That's the only. There's a caveat.
Well, my biggest concern is with this hectic Christmas campaign that we've got coming up and going into January as well. Because don't forget, in early January, we've got two really important games coming up in early January. We'll come on to that a little bit later on. That they don't start, this is going to get to the stage where they start doing it behind closed doors again and all that sort of stuff. That would be a disaster, an absolutely disaster for everybody. Not just their mental health, but people just need that release on a Saturday afternoon and that sort of stuff. Anyway, we'll keep a close eye on that, and if we hear anything, we'll come back to you. Big news out of the club. Now, I know this has actually been mentioned elsewhere on other podcasts, and they have taken the view that this is not a great move for Crystal Palace Football Club, but Crystal Palace to launch a new fan token on Socios.com. So the top and bottom of this, it's cryptocurrency to you and I. Okay, it means nothing to me. I know Jill knows a little bit about it, but it's cryptocurrency, and the press behind cryptocurrency, because it's so volatile, it really is up and it's down. So you could earn a few quid, but very easily you could lose a few quid. Crystal Palace have announced a partnership with a company called Chilts, and that's spelled with a Z. Chilts, the world-leading blockchain provider for the sports and entertainment industry. Throughout the partnership, the club will launch CPFC Fan Token on the fan engagement and rewards app Socios.com. Socios.com and fan tokens will create new opportunities for the club to recognise and reward local and international supporters. Fans will be able to access exclusive promotions and a number of other exciting up-and-coming opportunities. The benefits of becoming a fan token holder, including voting rights in a fan-focused club polls, as well as the chance to compete against other fans at home and abroad in club-related competition and quizzes. Now, be careful what I just said there. I did not say you're going to be fans vote for the club. This is just outside and on their app. Okay, this is nothing to do with Crystal Palace and voting for Crystal Palace. And Palace tweeted, "We are excited to announce the official $ CPFC fan token created by our new global partner at Socios.com is coming, and it's powered by Schultz." Like I say, if you want to know more details, there is a 19-page document on the official website, and if you want to learn a little bit about it. But I'm aware that a lot of the people connected to a couple of the other ones have got nothing to do with it. Jill, your thoughts? Jill, you're muted, Jill.
Yeah, sorry, mate. People that think to do with cryptocurrency, but listen, you can get involved. You don't have to. The losses can be heavy, but the gains can be astronomical. But I think the token you're on about is called Chili's, and to be honest with you, all the top sides in Europe have been involved in this for well over a year now. The Premier League has come into it really late. But I know that Real Madrid and Barcelona and all the top clubs have it's been on the rise for a long time. So, but yeah, it's cryptocurrency is the future. So, but as with anything like that, you need to do. I wouldn't even say due diligence. You need to do homework for weeks and weeks and weeks before you invest any kind of money. That's all I'll say.
Thank you, Ian.
Yeah, the problem is, Jill, I don't think some football fans will do their due diligence. They'll see that it's an investment that's associated with their football club, and they won't see beyond the small print that tells you investments can go down as well as up. And with the cryptocurrency being probably one of the most volatile investments, far more than ordinary shares. So what worries me is that football fans will go into this in blindly investing, not really understanding the nature of their investment, and potentially lose money. So that's my concern. I think anything that the club puts its name to, they need to be very careful about. And in a way, it's a form of gambling for me, and I'm disappointed that the club are doing what they're doing. Whether other big clubs are doing the same thing or not, there you go.
Harvey, you got any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know anything about like cryptocurrency or anything like that, but I agree with what Ian said there. It's quite dangerous for sure. I think, just to echo what Ian said, literally anything associated with the club, people will support and put money into, and that can be a very, very dangerous thing if you don't know how it works. For example, I don't know how it works, so I'll just be throwing money at it blindly if I was to get involved, and that could obviously be a very dangerous thing to do.
Mate, you ain't going to do that. It's hard enough even getting a pint out of your match day, let alone you in some cryptocurrency. Aaron,
no, that's not true. I won't have that.
Aaron, they're £2 a coin. I know you know as much as I do about it, but you got any thoughts on the subject before we move on?
I mean, nothing that the boys haven't echoed. I mean, I don't know much about cryptocurrency either. But yeah, I mean, what Jill said really, if it's something you want to invest in, you have to realise that, if you do invest in something, you can make a loss as well. So to anyone that's thinking about doing it, just make sure you do your homework on it, as Joe said. And yeah, if you're willing to invest in it, then yes, so be it. But yeah, again, make sure you do your homework.
Thank you. Ian, go on, mate.
I just want to read some of the comments here about investments. So my Bet365 accounts are bad enough, says Ryan Hinton. Paul Holden, my last investment was a season ticket. Jury's out on that one at the moment. And Jason Green, this one really made me laugh. Palace Lifeline. Now, that was a good investment. And I remember my missus, right, when we were first married, a long time ago, and we bought every month £100 of Sainsbury's vouchers for £92. Okay, we got £8 off, and we live quite close to the ground. And she used to go as a Lifeline member. You got this discount. Go to the club shop to collect her Sainsbury's vouchers, and that was shopping for the month. So, why that stayed with me and why I felt the need to tell you that tonight, I've no idea. But Lifeline prompted that, so there you go.
Lifeline. I remember Lifeline and the gold membership and everything else. Right, let's move on to the game a little bit. Nigel, if you could have the lineup, please. So going into yesterday's game, Crystal Palace were winless in the past 13 Premier League meetings. Harvey, throwing you under the bus. Who was our last manager? Who was our manager last time we beat Everton at home?
Oh God.
Think England.
I think England.
27 years ago.
20. Oh, right. Well, I wasn't born 27 years ago.
There you go. So that's why I threw you under the bus, mate. Is Gareth Everton's run of 10 league games unbeaten at Selhurst Park is a tally betted just twice in any away ground in the top flight history. 11 matches between Preston between 19. Palace's solitary Premier League win in 12 attempts at home to Everton came in 1994. They've scored 6 goals in total during that run. Palace have suffered 3 consecutive league defeats, having lost just twice in their last opening 12 games. So the lineup for yesterday's game, I want to talk about the lineup, boys, please, because we are going to be picking out this evening, just to give you the heads up, 2 or 3, well, maybe 3 or 4 individual players tonight that I want to focus on in great detail, because I think we saw a little bit of a change yesterday. So the lineup was Guaita in goal, obviously. Don't forget when you're talking about the game, boys, to talk about that save at 2-1. Could have changed the game. Ward, Tompkins, Geehee, Mitchell, Kouate, young Hughesy. Good to see him making his home Premier League debut, or for Palace debut. Gallagher, Zaha, Edouard, and Jordan Iron on the bench. Unused, Alisi, Eze, Matata, Schlupp, Klein, Benteke, and Kelly. So there's the lineup. So, lineup. Ian, you go first. Was there anything in there that surprised you, including Jordan Ayew for Alisi, bearing in mind the game that you had in the end?
I wasn't surprised to see Jordan Ayew selected because I was at Manchester and I was at Leeds, and he played very well in both of those games. By the way, he played even better yesterday. I was surprised to see Hughes selected, but I was delighted at the same time. He needed an opportunity, and I was really pleased that Vieira felt that he was able to select him from the start. So that for me was a really positive aspect. And the other one that were probably the jury's out still, do you play Edouard or do you play Benteke? And he just seems to be rotating it around a bit. So you can buy neither in fantasy because you never know who's going to start, who's going to play 90 minutes. Both have got a goal threat, and both are probably underperforming across the whole season. But Edouard, that's okay at home. So is Hughes. And certainly Jordan Ayew, for me, was a good selection.
Harv, anything that surprised you more in the lineup?
Yeah, I was very, very shocked to see Will Hughes start. But I would say it was a pleasant shock as well, because obviously he's a new signing. We've not seen anything of him. He's got a bit of pedigree. He's played in the Premier League before. He's not like a random signing that we've never heard of. So we kind of know that he's in and around the Premier League level. And I know he only came on for about 10 minutes away at Leeds, but I thought he looked fairly tidy in that 10 minutes. So Yeah, it was nice. I was very surprised to see him start because I thought obviously he's not got a game all season, so it's kind of an odd time to bring him in. But at the same time, I thought he was brilliant, and it was nice to see him play.
Aaron, I'm coming to you in a couple of minutes. Joe, is there any what your thoughts on Ayew starting, mate?
Well, I'm not just going to sting straight into Ayew. I want to say firstly about Hughes. Obviously, some of the podcasts that I watch, I watched the Cycling GK Ben Fox, and there's been loads of interviews with Hughes, sort of behind the scenes, and he has nothing but real good stuff to say about him. The other thing as well is we've played Watford loads of years, and he has been absolutely ag to us. He is a younger, more cultured version of who's in the middle?
Carver.
Scottish, but can't even think about bloody Carver. For me, I mean, I love Macca. You know, I have Macca. He's my first name down before Will for anybody. But if he's been brought in to take over from him, I'm absolutely joyous about that. I'm amazed it took so long to get him in. To be honest with you, he is a baller, and he was everywhere. The setup that you had just a minute ago was wrong. He sits in and he really can. It'll be very, very good for us. Ayew has had a couple of reasonable games, even though he's had no assists or been outstanding the last couple of games. That's his best game yesterday by a country mile, and unfortunately he didn't get a man of the match because just Gallagher was just so good. But it was his best game since the West Ham game. You know what I mean? So that was a few seasons ago. But I'm not going to turn the thing that I was more impressed with Ayew yesterday was, and again, I will beat that geezer into the ground as I have done. You guys know he's not my favourite player. He'll get my support. Whoever's playing gets my support. And what I noticed almost immediately within the first minute or two was when we got the ball, he did it at the end of the game, but he got his head down, 2 or 3 paces forward, and then he immediately started firing crosses in, decent crosses. And that has been the difference. If he is there to fire crosses in, then he did absolutely brilliantly yesterday. So, and he did. I mean, if Gallagher hadn't had such a good game, he'd have been a man in the match probably by some distance. But yeah, very, very good. And I think the team sort of picks itself while we're a centre back down. Tompkins is going to come in. I thought he looks more assured than he did the last game. Like I said to you, he's 31, played like, looks 41, played like he was 51. But yesterday, he looked good. I mean, that was almost comical defending to leave, almost like we've been doing, to leave a player on the far post with no one within 5-6 feet of him to tap past the goalkeeper. So, but as we know, a lot of his goals have come at the far post. If he's not smashing headers in, he is definitely at the back post. So it's a play that we do. But I was really pleased with him. Like I say, he's always going to get my support. So apart from Hughes, I'm glad Hughes has got in rather than Luca. That's been my overriding thing.
Jill, hold that thought, because that was going to be my absolute next point. Gentlemen, did any of you notice that Luca wasn't just not named in the starting 11? He wasn't even on the bench yesterday. Harvey, what am I reading into that?
Well, that's one thing I did notice, and I said to the boys before the game that he must be injured because Mateta was on the bench. So if Mateta's making the bench before Luca, then surely Luca must be injured. I mean, it'd be a pretty big statement to leave the captain out of the whole squad altogether. So for me, I think he must be injured or ill or whatever just for the pure reason that Mateta was on the bench ahead of him.
I must admit, it's something. Either I've missed something, okay, about an injury. In fact, I saw the press conference live on Friday afternoon. Details of the press conference were Ferguson's back in full training. Obviously, who else was out? I can't remember who else was out. Ian,
Anderson.
Anderson. Anderson's back in full training, but he wasn't going to be ready. There was no mention, and of course McCarthy, and there was absolutely no mention of any other injury. So if you're right, they purposely kept that on quiet. So Patrick Vieira has shuffled his pack ahead of the visit of Everton, with Will Hughes coming into the midfield to make his first start for the club. Hughes is accompanied by Kouyaté and Gallagher in central midfield, with Jeffrey Schlupp dropping to the bench. Joel Ward returns to the side in place of Nathaniel Klein after being suspended for the trips at Old Trafford, and Tompkins and Geehee continue as a central defensive partnership, with Tyrick Mitchell completing the back four. Right, Aaron, have a pop if you'd be so kind at the first half highlights, and then once you've done those, I'm going to get Jill to do some more stuff from the chat, please.
Yeah, no, just before I get on to that quickly, I just wanted to completely echo what Joel said. I actually wasn't surprised Hughes was picked. I was thinking to myself, what has he got to do to get a game? And he absolutely aced it for me. But yeah, I'll move on to the first half. So yeah, the first half, really, I thought the first 15 minutes we were absolutely excellent. We didn't let them have the ball, for me. Not that much at all. I think at the stats, it was like 85% possession in the first 15 minutes. And we caused them some problems too. And I thought we should have been 1-0 up. I think it's about the 6-7 minute. Ayew goes in 1-on-1 against Pickford. Straight at him. I mean, you can't knock the save, but still, I think if Ayew had a bit more confidence, hopefully that should have gone in the back of the net. You can see it's a guy that hasn't scored in about 46 games, whatever the number is now. But yeah, that was a great bit of build-up play, a little 1-2 with Edouard. The one thing I say about Edouard for me, he has got a great first touch. His first touch is so far ahead of Christian Benteke. It's unbelievable for me. His link-up play yesterday was superb. I know he had a quiet game, but yeah, that was a good bit of play. And then yeah, still around about the 15th minute. I think it was Jordan Ayew with one of them early crosses that Joel was talking about, and Coleman nicked him with a little bit of a header. I think if Coleman doesn't get his head on that, that's going straight to Wilf, and that's 1-0 as well. So yeah, I mean, good first 15 minutes, and then yeah, I think it just went back to usual control. And then yeah, in the 40th minute, we managed to notch a goal, obviously go 1-0 up. So I will actually say about the goal. I know we had a bit of a debate regarding Wilf last week, but if I'm right, I mean, because I did watch it yesterday, I believe a great bit of skill from Wilf started that move. He took on about 2 or 3 of them, and he pieced past absolutely all of them, and that's what he's in the team to do for me. And yeah, great ball in. I think it comes to one of their players, doesn't he? And he gives it straight back to Ayew. He whips a ball in, gets it up, as Joel said. Nice early cross, and Gallagher's there to tap it off. And yeah, great finish, 1-0, and we're going in with our hands held high at half time. So yeah,
beautiful, well done, mate. Ian,
Aaron, you're spot on about Wilf, and Wilf got a lot of stick from people around me. You know, he has in the last few weeks. He hasn't played as well as he can do, but he had some significant moments yesterday, and one of them was in that first half, and he beat about 3 players, didn't he? Before he played, I think it was into Edouard, who played it wide, and that started the move. I think we've got to say that we were a little bit fortunate to get the goal, in as much as they made a mistake, and but you've got to capitalise on mistakes, and you've got to take your chances, and what Gallagher did well, he created space in the box. So Ayew, got the ball in. It was his second pop at it, and he got it across. But it was easy for him to find Gallagher in space because Gallagher created that space for himself. So we made the most of the opportunity to score the goal. Everton got back into it a little bit more just before that. There were chances. I thought Ward was exposed down our right hand side in that first half, and again in the second half. There was a moment when, he could and should have done better. But, I think that we defended well generally and we rode our luck a little bit at times. and deservedly went in 1-0 up. I think if we hadn't gone in 1-0 up, that would have been a bit of a travesty with the amount of possession we had and the way we were dominating the game in the first 45 minutes.
Right. Harvey and Aaron, just to let you know, Chris Brandrick has said in the chat, isn't it great to have some younger voices on the show? And he's absolutely right. Let's go back to one of the other old buggers. Jill, your thoughts on the first half?
Again, if they were a little bit more clinical, even though we had most of the play, I thought we could have, probably should have gone in behind. Apart from Ayu's, miss, but the goalkeeper did almost the same save. Our goalkeeper did at the same ends, same thing. So you got to say that both of those players probably should have scored, but they were both good saves. So, but yeah, I thought for our endeavour, had they been more clinical, we could have gone in behind. But for our endeavour, we went in 1-up. So I was quite happy with that. Nothing. We've been playing like that in fits and starts throughout the season, and not getting the run of the ball as such. So yesterday was nice to see. I just want to say quickly that we kept Andros Townsend very quiet yesterday, and I think you'll notice that there was definite some tactical fouls where, especially from Wilf on him. I mean, Wilf went down the back of his Achilles, and especially in the second half. But I thought we kept him, and Tarek, I thought again he had another good game. But our fullbacks are trying to be exposed, because that's the name of the game now. You put your very good players, your wide players out, and you try and expose fullbacks that maybe are not 100% fullback. They're just literally a right back or a left back and expected to be a winger these days. But they definitely tried to expose Ward in the first half. I thought he did all right. He always had one or two. The pace down there was they've got exceptional pace, Everton, and but I thought we did. I thought we did all right. I thought we deserved.
Thank you, mate. Harvey, you were in the ground yesterday. I'd like to know your thoughts on the atmosphere as well, especially when the goal went in on 40 minutes. What was it like, mate?
It was very good.
I was a home goal fanatic.
Yeah, I forgot it was like what it was like to celebrate a goal. It's been 3 games without one, hasn't it? So yeah, it was nice to get 3 yesterday. The atmosphere was good. Pretty normal, I would say. I mean, obviously they did the display before the game and 15 minutes in. But yeah, other than that, I think the atmosphere itself was pretty normal. And yeah, it was really good. One point I did want to make, just going back to Will Hughes, was that his performance in midfield freed up Gallagher so much more to get forward, and that's one thing. Since MacArthur's been out injured, Gallagher hasn't been at his best because he's had a lot more defensive responsibility. When he's been playing with Kouyaté and Luca, he's had a hell of a lot of work to do, basically covering for Luca's mistakes. And then Schlupp got a couple of games, and I thought Schlupp was really good, but Schlupp's a very attacking centre mid, so again, that means Gallagher's got a lot more defensive responsibility. Whereas Hughes yesterday was very, very much like a Jimmy Mack kind of performance, and that freed Gallagher up so much to get forward. And I don't think it's a massive surprise that he managed to create us some chances and score us a couple of goals because of that.
Joe, I'm coming to you now, and I also want some stuff in the chat, please. Harvey, you just made some really interesting observations there. We're going to do the player watch in a minute, and Hughes is actually going to be one of them. So I'm coming back to you on that in a few minutes' time. Aaron, I'm coming to you for the second half in a second, but Jill from the chat, please, mate.
Well, it's interesting now that we have sort of, I wouldn't say a plethora, but we've definitely got a lot of a good few players with Hughes, Maka, Eze. Elise could probably play through the left side or the right side of the middle as such if we played a 4. But a lot of people are saying, Jason Green said Luca's days are numbered. Mark Corbett said Luca off in January. And Mika Kuranen said Luca's days at the club are numbered now that we have Hughes. So it's not just one person saying it, but there, you know, it's again, there was nothing from the club to say that Luca was injured, but then we know that he has had family problems in the past and also suffering, you know, with COVID and stuff. But until the club come out and say something, you can just assume people will put 2 and 2 together and come up with, you know, with 7 or whatever. So, but it is nice that we don't have to, that we can do what other teams do now and drop players that would have been seemingly, undroppable. You know, saying the club captain. Well, he's not the club. You know, we have done this thing for years. Where I think Ward was captain last night, wasn't he? I'm pretty sure he was when the referee called over the captain and players to give everyone a bollocking. But yeah, so I don't know whether it's a valid point, but the whispers are, you know, I mean, what is it? How long has he been here? 3? Is it 3 years? 4 years? So, you know, if he doesn't want to stay or he wants to move on, I'm sure that would move him on once we've accommodated or got players in the middle that are used to being there. But Hughes, like I said, he kept coming, sort of, it kept wanting the ball and going back and sitting deeper. And as you said, you know, it's he definitely freed up Gallagher yesterday. Hughes freed up Gallagher. And it was more than important.
Thank you, mate. Aaron, go through the second half goals, mate, please.
Yeah, so second half, I'll just make a quick note about the start of the second half. I know this wasn't on the highlights or anything. It's only, obviously, because I watched the full game back. But what Joe said at the start about Ayew, I just want to reiterate this as well. In the 46th minute, he played a great ball in. Now, not much happened off this ball, but I tell you what, if you watch the highlights back, this is a ball that just evades Will, and he's about that far off Tyrick Mitchell touching that, and he's in on goal. It was a great ball in.
Just a pace.
So it was good to see, you know, Ayew making them early crosses, and I mean Tyrick as well, getting up and down as he was yesterday. That's fantastic. I mean, we were playing free at the back almost most of the game. And then, yeah, we had another little sniff of a chance. Sort of there again. It's another Ayew ball scooped over to Gallagher. It was, and he had a little pop at shot, didn't he? Which Pickford managed to tip onto the side netting. I don't know if it was actually guarded or not. And from the camera angle or whoever was in the ground, there was actually a square onto Edouard there. But I don't think Gallagher realised how much time he had in the box when that ball was played over. And then we come on to the goal. I mean, again, Will Hughes, his set-piece delivery yesterday was fantastic for me. Absolutely superb. We've been lacking it the last 3 games. I've been absolutely screaming for it. Every corner we've been taking has not even gone past the first man for me. And they were some excellent deliveries going in there yesterday. And again, it's a bit comical, actually, because the way I was watching Everton defend a corner, I thought it was us 3 or 4 games ago. They just absolutely left Tompkins for the flick on, and he couldn't miss, could he? So that was 2-0. And yeah, well taken by James Tompkins. I think it's his first goal in about 2 years, from what they were saying. I think it was 2 Christmases ago. So yeah, I'm happy for him because I think he's done quite a good job for me. Defensively solid, that bloke. And then after that, I think it went a bit in their favour, didn't it? They sort of got on top of us. I thought we were right under the cosh. They score a goal 6-7 minutes later. Bit of an unlucky goal to concede for me. I mean, it's absolutely nicked off Ward's leg, hasn't it? And the blokes followed it in. It's one of them. It's unlucky, but it only seems to happen to us, don't it? So, you know, I'm not sure there was much we could do about that goal. I'm sure if someone would have watched it back a bit more than me, I can see him shaking his head, and he can maybe tell me a bit about that. But yeah, and then towards the end of the game, I mean, we have to say what a save that was by VG for me. That's an important save because that goes in. We're not winning that game. I'm telling you that now. I think heads drop. But no, it was a good save. What I will say regarding Ward at fullback, he did have to deal with that Ben Godfrey absolutely running at him like a steam train yesterday. Sometimes there was situations where he was 2-on-1. So he did have a lot to deal with, and I thought he held his own, except for that silly little error at the end where he gave the ball away inside the box. And then
You better get onto the important bit now.
Yeah, sorry. So I'm getting to the important bit, which I mean, what a goal! What a goal! I mean, I don't know if anyone wants to see my notes, but I've just got on my notes all my writing, and then in the end, I've just got Gallagher in bold capital letters because I mean, what a strike that is! I mean, that's top bins for me. What a strike! Yeah, I mean, that's all I've got to say on it. I'll let everyone else take over because, I mean, what a strike that was.
Thank you. Right, Harvey, I'm coming to you first, okay? It actually wasn't quite top bins, was it? That's the whole point. I think Pickford has missed that. I think if it had been another foot to the left of him, okay, then you call that top bins. But that's actually, is it because he's a short-ass keeper? I don't know.
I'm not sure. I'd say that's a bit harsh on Pickford, but I'll tell you what I will say. Think back to our first season up. That gave me very much Stuart O'Keefe vibes against Sunderland. That was a pretty much the same area of the pitch. I mean, it was almost the identical goal, and I think that game put us 3-1 up as well, right? I can't quite remember, but it was almost identical, wasn't it? And so that was what a goal, and I mean, obviously VG made that great save at 2-1. It was a bit nervy. I mean, even though we deserved the win at 2-1, lost our last 3, it's kind of like written in the stars that we're going to make a mistake and draw or even go on to somehow lose. But that goal was just brilliant for so many reasons, not least because it was a massive error from Seamus Coleman trying to. Well, I don't know what he was trying to do. He was trying to boot the ball straight at Schlupp or try and get Schlupp booked or something, but he completely missed him, kicked it straight back to us, and the rest is history. So yeah.
Right. Ian and Gel, okay, I'm coming to you both, okay, because I want you both individually, Ian first, to eulogise about that goal, please.
Yeah, what impressed me most about it was that Gallagher was almost on the corner flag, wasn't he, when the free kick was taken? He was right next to Coleman when he struck the ball, and yet he could see where it went. He just chased it, like he was like a rabbit that was after it was just so energetic on 94 minutes. And Benteke almost got in his way, but he sort of almost pushed him out of the way. 1 touch, 2 touch, and then Nick, you cannot say that wasn't a top draw goal. It was. Everyone else was eulogising about it. Match of the day were, listen, it was one of the best goals I've seen scored at Selhurst Park for a long, long time. And I think it was such a relief because of what had happened in previous games, the Brighton game, the Arsenal game, where we conceded so late on. And you just felt that at 2-1, it was never safe. We needed the second goal to make it 2-0. They get back in it. And then, they do get those chances to equalise. They didn't take them. 2 in particular. The Townsend one was the one that was the best chance for me that they missed. So it was just such a relief to see it go in, but it was an absolute quality strike. And the interview afterwards was lovely, wasn't it? With Conor Gallagher. He's such a nice lad. He was so happy he scored, so happy that he's at Palace. And I think we'll talk whether we've got time tonight or we'll do it on another show about his future and whether he'd stay, whether he's going to go back to Chelsea or whatever. But we're all hoping, of course, that he stays at Palace. But that's a long, long way away. It's a long season, and we've just got to enjoy it while we can.
Thank you, mate. I never said it wasn't a good goal. I said Pickford should have done better, is what my point was. Okay. Jill, I'm going to give you some stats in a minute after you talk me through that goal, please.
No, it's just that, as everyone has said, that it is a fantastic goal. I mean, for me, not many goalkeepers are going to get that. I don't care what you say. I think he was beaten mainly, not just he was beaten by the dip, he was beaten by the pace. It flicked the bar on the way in. I don't think he's expecting the keeper's expecting it. But then for me, I've always thought Pickford he's a very good shot stopper. anything that's waist high, anything above his head, most goalkeepers, especially to his left-hand side, you can see as well. I think he's gone with the wrong hands. But anyway, I just want to, whatever you want to do, I need to come into you about the atmosphere, because there's quite a bit of people going on about the atmosphere, about how good it was. But if you can give me 30 seconds, 45 seconds to go through this.
Well, what are you doing
so Jason
to...
Green said the atmosphere was immense as always. Hang on, Miko Kurin said great atmosphere. And then this is the thing, right? Myself and Chris, we very, very rarely agree on anything. But for me, it was noticeable that the HF have now gone and doing their usual thing of making a song up, but it's 400 of them, but forgetting to tell the other 23,000 the words or the tune. So what happened is the atmosphere was jumping, and then it just died. It literally died for like 5 or 6, maybe 10 minutes. It really, I don't know. It was really, but it's another one of those, 2 or 3 notes instead of everyone can, that the old grannies can have a jump about it in the main stand, and the family and can all join in it. It's I don't know, but anyway, that's by the by. But people were saying about the atmosphere. I know you're saying you're putting your head in your hands, but I believe it. You was there, but I was on the telly, and I was watching it on the TV, and it was apparent. But what I was pleased about as well is the Arthur got really, really involved in.
They were loud.
Because
the Arthur were loud,
without the Arthur, you can hardly hear the HF. So.
Do you know what? I didn't notice that song in the ground. I mean, I've read about it afterwards, and I've read the words, and I understand what they're trying to do. So that didn't bother me one jot, actually. But what I did like in the first half, I think it was, they did a Glad All Over with the refrain with the Arthur and the Homestyle, and that was brilliant. That was absolutely brilliant, and they've done it before, and it was just excellent. And that's when you win in and you feel good. And that's what happens at Selhurst. But overall, the atmosphere was great. I thought the Everton fans were good as well. I thought, they weren't loud all the time, of course, because they were losing a lot of the time. But they're a proper club, proper support. And, they did make a little bit of noise when they got one back. So,
Aaron.
Can I just say about the Everton fans, I don't know if anyone else saw this. I mean, you could actually hear it on the TV as well over here. Did you hear that their fans were singing to Rafa that he's just a fat Spanish waiter?
Yeah.
Please tell me anyone heard that, because I was absolutely laughing my head off at that. I was.
Well, they started singing that when they took Richarlison off. And, Benitez said that they took him off because he had an injury, but he wasn't happy coming off. And the Everton fans were not happy that he went off. And he is their probably the best player. So, I was happy to see him go off. So. Right,
boys, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes heads up on something, okay? We're going to play and watch very quickly Guaita, Hughes, Gallagher, Zaha, and Ayew in a second, okay? But before we get to that, Edouard completed a team high of 3 dribbles yesterday. Hughes, Gallagher, and Tompkins all ended the match with plus a 92% pass accuracy. And I think that's what's different from the last 2 or 3 games. Now, I'll give you that again. Hughes, Gallagher, Tompkins all ended the match with over 92% pass accuracy. Guehi won all of his duels. That's aerial and ground, finishing 8 out of 8. And Kouate had a team high of 5 tackles and 5 interceptions. Extremely good quality stats. Right. Zaha, boys, discuss. Harvey, discuss, because I know that he has been off his game recently. Your thoughts on Zaha yesterday, please?
I thought he was all right. I don't know. We judge him at a different standard, don't we? If you swap that exact performance for Elise, you'd probably say Elise was quite good. But because it's Wilf and we have a certain level of expectation, you'd probably say it was a poor game for him. But I thought it was all right. He got into a big old battle with Seamus Coleman, didn't he? They were really going at each other, and I think that's happened quite a lot recently. I remember the Villa game. The same was with Matty Cash. The United game, he was pretty quiet. and Leeds, at Leeds they were really getting stuck into him. So, I mean, I don't think that's particularly a secret. Everyone knows that if you get into him, he might well do something silly, get himself booked, or kind of lose his head and not have the best game. But he's looking okay to me. He's looking like he could come up and pop up with a couple of goals at any point.
Thank you, mate. Ian, I'm going to give you Gallagher and Ayew. Is there anything that we haven't spoken about that you could add to their performances yesterday?
So I'm not allowed to talk about Wilf, no?
No.
I'm going to anyway. Listen, Wilf. Harvey, I agree with you totally, mate. I thought we judge him by a different standard. Wilf, for me, had a quite good game yesterday. He did a couple of things really, really well. He battled hard. He gets a lot of attention, obviously, but not just double up on him. But you know, someone like Seamus Coleman, has experienced international fullback. You know, played him really well yesterday. But Will still got him behind him a few times. There was one occasion where he got a cross in, and Gallagher headed it just wide of the post.
Yeah,
I think it was in the second half. And if that had been Benteke on the end of that, it was the wrong player. That should have been a goal. Brilliant cross, absolutely sublime. So I think Will does some fantastic things, and I don't think we give him the credit sometimes because we judge him by such high standards. I think, let me talk about Jordan Ayew. Jordan Ayew had a fantastic game yesterday. I think you almost need to talk about Gallagher and Ayew in the same breath as they did on Match of the Day, actually. I thought they analysed those two really, really well. They teamed up excellently on the right-hand side, passed to each other. Gallagher played Jordan Ayew in a few times really, really well, and his crossing was great. The one cross in the first half where Edouard, you know, again, had it been Benteke, I think better chance of scoring. Edouard had to get on the end of it. He didn't quite make it. So I thought Ayew was just brilliant. I think he worked very, very hard. His touch was great. And as Joe has already said, he had one of his best games for us yesterday for some time. So, and he was only in any other game, he would have been man of the match. But because Conor Gallagher got the goals, you've got to give Conor Gallagher man of the match, which they did. And he was just brilliant, wasn't he? Box to box. He's like one of those Duracell bunnies, you know. He's just, you know, he doesn't stop running, does he, the whole time? He's got so much energy. I run out of superlatives for Conor Gallagher for sure.
Right, Jill, can you do for me Hughesy, and I'd like your thoughts on Zaha as well, mate, please.
Well, Hughesy, this baller, just gave us so much more time. You know, he's eager for the ball. We've probably had the odd player in the middle. I'm not say scared of receiving a ball, but he looks like he can receive the ball with his back to the opposition, but also you could hear him as well. You could see I just watched him every time the camera was on him or he was in shot. I was just watching him, and he really is he's such a great team player. And again, from what I know of seeing him on the Foscast and the Cycling GK, his banter is absolutely outrageous. Like, he'd be so good for the squad. He really will. Behind the scenes, he'd be great for the squad. Wilf is the thing that, like, Ian's just covered everything about Wilf. So the thing is, Wilf's always had 2 or 3 players. They've always done, the last 2 or 3 years, they've just doubled up on him all the time, if not trebled up on him. But the thing is, we've not had anybody of Gallagher's quality in the middle for anyone to worry about. So they can shift 2 or 3 players over. Now what people are going to realise is that we've got Gallagher going through the middle, and if he teams up with Macca or Hughes, then we've got almost a bit of a formidable centre there, which means that teams are going to have to take more notice of us. They're either going to have to play like a sweeper system, either play 5 at the back or flood their midfield to cope with that. And we haven't, no one's had to do that to us for 10 years, more than that, forever, you know, because we've not had that, the strength going right away across, attacking down the left with Wilf, attacking down the right with Ayew, with 2 or 3 decent midfielders, with Kuarte, who is going to run at you, he's going to kick you. Hughes is going to run at you, he's going to kick you. Gallagher's going to run at you, he's going to kick you. Edouard. If you look at Gallagher, and the thing that's great for us at the moment, the trigger movement for Gallagher and for Edouard is to kick the ball and immediately turn and go towards the opposition goal. That is what we have been lacking from everyone apart from Wilf. And the thing is, where Wilf has been so fast and tricky over the years, he can get down the wing. He's got no one to pass it to. Now we've got players who are arriving late. First goal yesterday, you cut it back. But he's standing there. He's got his hands. You can see him go, give me the ball. And then he comes in. It's perfectly. It's a goal. We very rarely score cutback goals in the penalty area. It's what everyone else has been doing for years against us. We now do that. So Wilf is now getting slightly less attention. But if you watch the tackles in on him, I think you'll see that they are more fierce. It's gone back to the old days of, was it Dakura? Is it Dakura their player? I mean, when he played for Watford, he just used to love. I'm sure he played for Watford. He used to.
It was Capoue.
Capoue. Yeah, well done.
Yeah, Capoue, but I'm sure who was. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I think we're a different proposition now with players to come back, with flair players to come back. And it's just nice that we've got additions.
Thank you for that, Jill, because that flair player thing was the thing I was about to say to you. Ian, I'm coming to you next, and then Aaron. Jason Green says in the chat, Zaha is not the focal point. Now we have attacking options all over the park. It's good to be at Palace. It's a good moment. Don't forget, boys, we haven't even spoken about Elise. We haven't even spoken about Eze. Okay? It's gone in.
Yeah, you're right. We've got those options to come off the bench, and it's fantastic to. Well, it's quite remarkable, really, when you think we had both Elise and Eze on the bench yesterday, and neither got on the pitch. Quite remarkable. Paul Real Panel makes a very good comment in the chat there that our next two games are Southampton and Watford, and both of those sides really like to wind Wilf up. If you were at St Mary's when there was that incident when Wilf got sent off, it was, it wasn't very pleasant. But he just rises to it, and he's got to be very careful. So I hope that Patrick Vieira sat him down and says, "Do not rise to it. Do not get wound up. Count to 10. Do not let them get to you, Wilf, because they will. They'll target him for sure. Southampton will." It'll be interesting to see him play against Livramento because he's had a lot of press. The Southampton right back, the young Southampton English right back. I'm not sure who plays right back for Watford, but again, they're another sort of shithousery team that like to really wind us up, don't they? And they will have a go at Will for sure. So I think he's got to be very, very careful that he doesn't react adversely and let his football do the talking. Because if he does that, as he did yesterday on occasion, then there's no one that can really touch him. He's a fantastic footballer.
Sorry, Aaron, I was coming to you.
Can I just add one more thing? Sorry. The thing that I noticed yesterday, watch the camera angle of the players celebrating as Gallagher comes down towards the tunnel, and the players are. Wilf, I haven't seen Wilf celebrate where he's actually running to get into the huddle. It says a lot about the atmosphere behind the scenes, because every time when you see him score, he's angry. When he's been very angry for a couple of years. I think finally the pressure, that there's a release of pressure, that it ain't all on his shoulders, and I think he's appreciating that. And as we said, Nick, 2 years ago, if he was still here 2 years ago, we thought he might stay. And I said if he was still here this season, I think he's staying. I think he'll stay now, and I think with him surrounded by flair players, he's not the golden child anymore. He's going to be the elder statesman. You know what I mean? And he can have a long career with us if we now treat him with kid gloves and use him. If he has to come off, he has to come off. It's as simple as that. No one, the squad rotation has to be hugely important for us for now. Let's not forget, I've seen stuff in the 23s where Banks is on fire. He's a great player. So again, we've got more players coming through, hopefully being buoyed, these younger 23s in it, being buoyed by the younger players that are in the first team. It's all good.
Thank you. The right back for Watford, thank you, Paul, is Firmino. Aaron, you wanted to come in, mate.
Hello?
You wanted to
Sorry?
come in, mate. Aaron can't hear me, obviously.
Sorry, I couldn't hear.
Did
No, I couldn't hear
you wanted to
for a
make a
second.
point, mate? I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to reiterate what everyone said. I mean, just about Zaha. I mean, he's in the team to do that. As we said, quickly touching it before, he created that chance with that ball went into the box. He takes on 3 players, and we get the first goal from that move. And again, Will Hughes, for me, absolutely outstanding. I don't know why it took so long for him to get into the team with Maka out. Maybe he was a bit unfit. I don't know. Because obviously he got dragged off yesterday as well. So maybe it's been a bit of a fitness issue. But yeah, absolutely outstanding. I think I have to agree with what everyone said. I'm really impressed with Will Hughes. I think he's got to stay in the team for me now. Absolutely.
Thank you, mate. Right, we're going to move on because we've been going over an hour. Aaron, can you do me a favour and mute your mic, please, mate? So coming up, we've got Palace at home to Southampton on Wednesday, away at Watford on Saturday at 3 p.m. Boxing Day, don't forget, we're away at Spurs and the tickets have now gone on sale. So if you're going to Spurs, get your tickets purchased. That's 3 o'clock on Boxing Day. Then we're at home to Norwich on the 28th, 3 p.m. kickoff. And on New Year's Day, we are at home to West Ham at a 5:30 kickoff. Then after that, 2 insignificant clubs coming up. Millwall, Nigel, where's my picture, mate? Millwall, and away in the Cup on the 8th of January, and that lot down the road on the South Coast on the 14th of January. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you may remember last week's show, I think we need to start showing the whole of South London that we are South London and proud. And you know how the song goes to Millwall. I'm not going to do it live on there because there may be children listening, okay? But Millwall can go away, forth and multiply. South London is ours. And I reckon we should start a campaign and credit Andy Roberts for this, please. I contacted Andy in the week and he came up with that. And I think it's absolutely brilliant. Off the Crystal Palace TV tower, so it could be seen all over South London. That's how I think it should look. South London is ours. Or Millwall, you're about to find that out on the 8th of January. Thanks, Nigel. So, who's dropped off? Aaron seems to have dropped off. So, boys, let's start with Southampton on Wednesday night. So let's just do Southampton and Watford. Ian, how do you think we're going to fare for those 2 games?
I think we win them both. I'm going 2-0 for both games. There you go.
Short and sweet and to the point. Harv, your choice.
Shall I be just as optimistic or shall I give the pessimistic view?
You do yours, mate. Whatever you feel good.
Well, I don't know. We played really well. Even the Leeds game that we lost, that could have gone either way. We played all right against Man United. A bit harsh to lose at the end. We're finally back to winning ways. So, I mean, we could well beat Southampton and Watford and get 9 points from the last 9, but it's never that easy as it is. I mean, hopefully we'll get 4 points out of the next 2. I'll be happy with that as long as we remain unbeaten. And those clubs below us, Watford and Southampton, can't make any ground on us, then happy days.
Brilliant. Wingman.
Yeah, I'd take 4 points, as Harvey said. I think Watford will be a tricky proposition. I think once they get that team up and running, they're very, very quick. And they've got some good players. So, players as well that are playing well. But yeah, they seem to have been a little bit unlucky of late. But obviously, in people's luck, I'd take 4 points from the next 2.
Harv?
I just want to say one thing that's a slight worry with all the fixtures coming up is that obviously Mitchell went off at the end yesterday, limping a little bit. It didn't look anything serious, but hopefully there is nothing serious there, as obviously we don't have another left back. Klein had to come on at left back for the last few minutes yesterday. So we're obviously a midweek game now, Saturday game, then Boxing Day, 28th, and all these fixtures coming up. Hopefully there's nothing wrong with Mitchell, because he's an extremely, extremely important player for us, especially considering that we don't have another left back in the squad.
Very well said, mate. Very well said. From my point of view, and Aaron, I'll come to you next. I actually agree. It's a sad day in hell now because I actually agree with Holyoke, okay, and I can't stand doing that. I actually would be more than satisfied with 4 points from the next 2 games. But I must admit, when we won this afternoon, I did think, well, that's 3 in the Christmas period. Well, imagine if we get the next 2 as well and get 9 out of 9. That would be something really sexy. Aaron.
I'm actually going to be Mr. Positive. I want us to get 2 wins out of these next 2 games for me. I think we've got to beat Southampton. Again, I don't think they're all that Southampton. I think look at our squad and look at the players we got. We're absolutely miles better than them. For me, anyway. I know people might disagree and whatnot, but for me, and I mean with Watford, they blow hot and cold, don't they? So I mean, I feel like we're going to go to Watford and smash them up 4-0, or anything could happen with Watford. But I mean, again, I'd like to think that we're better than Watford as well. I know the Tinker Man's in there and he likes to weave his magic, but no, I'd like to see us go down, and get 6 points out of these next 2 games for me.
They haven't set their manager yet this week, have they? That must be on the cards. John Knox is saying 2-1 to both games. Paul Holden saying 2-1 win against Southampton and Swatford, sending off in both games because that James Ward-Prowse, I hate him. I still got that vision of him standing in front of the Southampton fans at our place last season, and they're singing to him, "You've got Wilf in your pocket, and he's like this, giving it back to his own fans. Oh, I can't stand the guy. But there you go. Boys, I think we're going to call it a day there. Ian, can you remember off the top of your head when the next one is? Aaron, you might know. Show?
Yeah, the next show is on Sunday, the 19th. Yeah.
Of course, Mr. Holyoke's hosting.
And we have a very special guest joining us. At least I hope he's going to join us. I spoke to him this week. John Solarco should be joining us next Sunday. So fingers crossed that he doesn't blow us out. But that's hopefully going to happen next Sunday, 19th of December.
Right, and also don't forget before Christmas, the first episode of the Steve Coppell interview will be dropping. Okay, so that'll be happening. I'll give you a bit more notice nearer the time. You'll see it all over the socials anyway. The first episode and the second episode with Sir Steve will drop between Christmas and New Year, so straight after Christmas. And so you're going to have a Coppell sandwich, a Coppell Christmas is what you're going to have. Okay, on behalf of Ready. So, do any of your other podcasts that you watch, ladies and gentlemen, give you Steve Coppell? Do any of them give you John Solarco? Do any of them give you Jim Cannon? Stay with Red and Blue Review. That's what we're here for. Ladies and gentlemen, out in Facebook land, thank you so much for joining us to celebrate a great 3 points yesterday. Ian Noble, Jel Holyoke, Harvey Jennings, and Aaron. Oh, if I'm still live, thank you so much. I am still here. Can anybody see me? Yeah, I'm still here. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. On behalf of everybody at Red and Blue Review, all the team, happy Christmas to you all, because I won't see you. Jel's hosting of the weekend. God bless. Go and get your booster. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.